Hello everybody and welcome to today's Dead by Daylight Tyde Talk on Unrelenting. We'll be covering the history and meta of Unrelenting throughout the years of Dead by Daylight. It is likely you've heard of this perk if you've leveled any blood web of a killers, as it is possible to show up at level 1 since it is a neutral perk. Depending on when you joined Dead by Daylight, you could have had two very different opinions on the perk. Starting from the release of Dead by Daylight, Unrelenting was a different perk than we knew today. Instead of just reducing the cooldown of missing attacks, it reduced the cooldown of both successful and missed attacks, making it a perk that just increases a killer's attack speed in general. Unrelenting was not known to be a very good perk at the time. The minor amount of attack speed reduced from 6% was unnoticeable. If a killer were to run this perk, it would be equal to running Prove Thyself at the time. The advantage was simply used because players would not consider the small bonus it provided equating to no difference in their gameplay. That, or it was the only perk they had since it could be available at level 1. This perk wouldn't see any love for a few months as we got closer to the Halloween DLC release. Patch 1.2.0 would come out just one day before the DLC update and introduce its new effects. Unrelenting would go from a 6% to 22% recovery in successful attacks and 9% to 30% in missed attacks. Overall, the perk was far more useful and valuable to any killer, as it helped close gaps after striking a survivor. It also assisted you by allowing you to take risks and recovering quickly from those mistakes. Though the missed attack buff would not be the benefit many killers would seek, it was just a nice additional benefit on top of the already great effect. One day after, patch 1.2.1 would release and introduce the most powerful killer perk combination in the game. Save the Best for Last would be introduced and combined with Unrelenting, making your attack speed recovery intense. Both perks would reduce your missed and successful attacks so much you'd be able to down survivors at any point. When we cover the machine gun build meta, I'll give you the footage of the combination, but for now, we're gonna put that off till the dark times, as there's a lot more to cover regarding the machine gun build. For now, we just need to understand that this attack speed was ludicrous, and the survivors and killers alike would understand that this was a problem, but a necessary problem for the time. With this being an essential build for any killer, it was the only response they had at the time to combat everything survivors had. Being this was around Halloween, the developers would get various bug fixes in future patches and prepare for the holiday. The issue with the machine gun build would grow over the next few months, and once the developers returned from holiday, they'd begin work on a fix. Though, like most changes, it was nerf or nothing. Developers wouldn't simply change one perk or reduce the combined total effect. Instead, it was completely to remove the viability of both perks as to avoid this issue happening ever again. Unrelenting would be crushed, and from this time, it would meet its end. Patch 1.4.0 would be introduced early in the year 2017 in February, where Unrelenting would lose its reduction of successful attacks completely. It would go to retain its missed attack cooldown, but as stated before, that was just a nice additional effect, but not the reason any killer would run it. Now, being the only effect, it finds a hard time working its way into current builds. Being that this would be the last time Unrelenting would be changed, how does it fit in today's meta? Since it is having a difficult time getting into current builds, it's pretty obvious it's not a meta perk. In fact, you likely wouldn't see any killer running Unrelenting if they had another perk to replace it with. This is due to the uselessness of the effect. Though you may recover quickly, you are not likely to miss often without being brand new to the game or just goofing around. Unrelenting works as a neutral perk that any killer can pick up. It may even help those who are just starting the game, but it becomes a waste of space once you start earning your teachables. You hope that you never run into this perk as it wastes your level up, as you get less options since it takes up one of the two slots at your higher levels. You may be able to work some gimmick into the perk, allowing you to practice unsafe attacks to get yourself accustomed to taking risks. However, it shouldn't require you to run the perk in order to get the practice you need. It wouldn't be worth the blood points to get a perk to reduce the punishment of taking a risky lunge if you are just practicing. Unrelenting was a perk that went from nothing to something and back to the depths of nothing. The fear of something that could be so strong left this perk forgotten in the list of perks to use. From the various changes that could have happened, it was banished into the entity's realm, never to be touched again. Behavior has reworked a lot of forgotten perks, but it is likely that we won't see a resurface of Unrelenting due to the fear of what it did. If Unrelenting were to ever be revisited, it would have to be completely redone, similar to Tinker. Another perk worthy of a Tyde Talk to discuss its various uses and changes. Though the question would be whether or not Unrelenting should even be changed. If it doesn't fit into the meta, that doesn't mean it doesn't work for new players and them taking risks and covering their weaknesses, but that type of topic is for another discussion, as this is where the story ends for Unrelenting. What do you guys think? Did you see Unrelenting in its glory days? Would you like to see a return to that type of strength for killer, or would you like to see Unrelenting be reworked? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Sorry this one was a little short. I didn't expect it to have such a short history for its massive impact, but we're getting close to the dark times and I'll be prepping those videos soon. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, good game.